Lionel Messi may have taken home the Man of the Match award, but Vozinha believes it should have gone to someone else, himself. After producing one of the best performances of the tournament, the Cape Verde goalkeeper has finally reacted. Let's get into it. Argentina beat Cape Verde 3-2 in extra time in the round of 32. And by the time it was over, the game had turned into one of the wildest matches of the tournament. Messi opened the scoring in the 29th minute. Lionel Messi opened the scoring with his World Cup leading 7th goal, deftly taking down Alessandro Martinez long ball and firing over Cape Verde goalkeeper Vozinha. It was a record-breaking moment too. It was Messi's record 20th World Cup goal, extending his record to 8 straight World Cup matches with a goal. That should have been the headline, except the guy in the Cape Verde net had other plans. Cape Verde leveled things up midway through the second half. Then Messi almost put Argentina back in front twice. In both times Vozinha said no. In the 63rd minute, Messi broke free on another run into the box, where he found himself one-on-one essentially with a Cape Verde defender on his left hip. Vozinha crept toward Messi rather than wait on his back foot and stuffed Messi's right-footed shot. 10 minutes later, Messi lined up over a free kick just outside the box, trying to catch the defense cold, trying to catch Cape Verde off guard. Messi curled a left-footed shot toward the upper right corner of the net, but Vozinha dived, fully extended his body, and knocked the ball away. Argentina finally broke through in stoppage time of regulation, and it looked like the story was over. It wasn't. Cape Verde pushed the match into extra time. Argentina scored again, and Cape Verde equalized again in one of the wildest sequences of the entire tournament. Only in the 111th minute did Argentina finally get the win it needed, and it came off a deflection rather than a clean strike. By full time, the box score told its own story. Vozinha recorded 8 saves against Argentina in the 90 minutes of regulation time, at an extra time and depending on the count. Some outlets had him denying Messi specifically on 4 separate occasions in the final hour of the match. Vozinha once again delivered a star-making performance with 8 saves, 4 at the expense of Lionel Messi. So when the official Man of the Match announcement came through, plenty of people weren't ready for the name that got read out. Official Lionel Messi, FIFA Man of the Match for Argentina versus Cape Verde. While did score the opening goal and assisted on Christian Romero's 111th minute game winner, many fans felt the award should have gone to Alessandro Martinez or Vozinha. The replies came in fast. One fan put it plainly, saying Vozinha deserves to be in this conversation. Another wasn't as diplomatic about it, writing that the award was well-deserved, but could have also gotten to any or Alessandro or Vozinha. They were outstanding. A third fan went further still, saying flat out he'd rather have seen the trophy go to the goalkeeper, who'd spent 2.5 hours standing in the way of the greatest player in the sport's history. He deserves it, but I would have preferred Vozinha with such amazing performances today. One post on X didn't bother hedging at all. It called the result predictable and then said something that basically became the sentence of the night. That Lionel Messi has won the Man of the Match award, but we all know who that trophy truly belongs to: Vozinha. Vozinha himself didn't stand at a podium and demand the trophy. That's not really his style. But when he spoke to reporters after the final whistle, the pride in his own team's performance, and by extension his own night, came through in every answer. Speaking through an interpreter, he said, "We have dignified Cape Verde as a national team in most parts of the world. Today, we fought on an equal footing against Argentina." He wasn't talking like a man who'd been outplayed. He was talking like a man who'd just gone toe-to-toe with the best player alive and made him work for every single inch of it. And here's the thing about that night. Argentina's own players and staff weren't exactly denying it either. Cape Verde defender Pico Lopes said of Vozinha, "He's a quality goalkeeper. Probably hasn't gotten the recognition he deserves before this." So that's the picture. Messi got the trophy. Vozinha got the 8 saves, the 4 denials of Messi specifically, the standing ovation from a stadium that was supposed to be hostile territory, and an entire corner of the internet insisting the hardware went to the wrong man. To understand how we even got to a night where a 40-year-old second division goalkeeper could go blow for blow with a living legend and have people arguing he deserved the individual honors over him, you've got to go back and figure out who Vozinha actually is. Because 3 weeks ago, almost nobody outside Cape Verde could have told you his name. Before this World Cup, Vozinha was not a household name anywhere, including in most of the football world that follows the game closely. The name of the Cape Verde goalkeeper who saved 8 shots against Lionel Messi's Argentina squad is only one word. And it isn't him, although that might be more appropriate following his performance. Vozinha, whose real name is Josimar Jose Evora Diaz, nearly spearheaded the greatest upset in the history of the World Cup. That one word, Vozinha, has an origin story of its own. And it's not what you'd expect from a nickname that's now printed on shirts in Cape Verde and worn by fans on 3 continents. while Vozinha isn't his real name. The Cape Verdean goalkeeper said he got the name at a young age thanks to his grandparents, who opted to call him Vozinha as he was raised by them and not his parents, because his father was serving in the military and his mother had to work. The name stuck for reasons that had nothing to do with football at first, but it became permanent for a football reason later on. When he moved to Angola to play for Progresso, Vozinha had a decision to make with his name, and he told FIFA, "When I arrived in Angola, there was another goalkeeper named Josimer, and I said I am not going to put Josimer II on the shirt. If everyone knew me as Vozinha in Cape Verde, that's what I would be." So this isn't a kid who got fast-tracked through an academy system and landed on the world's biggest stage in his mid-20s. This is a man who has been grinding through club football in obscurity for the better part of 2 decades. Vozinha currently plays for Chaves in Liga Portugal 2, Portugal's second division of soccer, and has spent the bulk of his club career with Progresso and AEL Limassol, logging 116 caps during his time with the Cypriot club, a second division goalkeeper in his 40s, going up against the best player of his generation on the biggest stage the sport has. That's not a matchup anyone books on purpose. It's the kind of thing that only happens because a tiny island nation qualified for its first ever World Cup and needed someone between the posts. And before anyone had heard the name Messi say it out loud, Cape Verde had already turned Vozinha into a sensation on a different afternoon against a different giant. Against Spain, who managed 27 shots, Vozinha made 7 saves, earning him the Man of the Match award. That result wasn't a footnote, it shook up expectations for the entire tournament. In terms of FIFA rankings, Cape Verde's draw against Spain was the 4th most surprising result in the history of the World Cup, given that Cape Verde entered the tournament ranked 67th and Spain entered ranked 2nd. That night changed his life almost overnight. A clean sheet against Lamine Yamal and the might of Spain meant that by the next morning, his follower count had exploded into the millions, and it hasn't stopped climbing since. It's now north of 17 million, having sailed past the likes of Patrick Mahomes along the way. Not bad considering what his own nickname actually translates to. Not bad for a man whose nickname translates to granny in Portuguese. There's a family piece to this story too, and it's the kind of detail that made Vozinha impossible not to root for even before a ball was kicked against Argentina. Vozinha's mother missed the Spain game because of a visa issue, then made it in time to watch her son shut out Saudi Arabia, waving a tiny Cape Verde flag from the stands. He talked before the tournament about just wanting her to see him play at this level at all. And by the time Argentina rolled around, he'd already gotten more than that wish. All that Vozinha wanted out of this World Cup was for his mother to see him play, and he got that and so much more. Before the tournament even kicked off, Vozinha had said out loud what his own personal dream scenario looked like. And it's almost eerie how close the Argentina match came to matching it. Vozinha's dream was specific. Cape Verde leading 1-0 late in the match, Argentina awarded a penalty, Messi stepping up and Vozinha saving it. That was the exact scenario he imagined before the World Cup. He told reporters plainly, "If I can save that, it would be a dream come true." He never got the penalty. He got something almost as dramatic. 4 separate moments where he stood in Messi's way in open play and at free kicks, in front of a Miami crowd stacked with Argentine flags. By the time Cape Verde reached the knockout stage, Vozinha wasn't just a feel-good story anymore. He was putting up numbers that stood next to the greatest goalkeeping performances in World Cup history. He became the 3rd oldest goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet in a men's World Cup match with his clean sheets against Spain and Saudi Arabia, after Peter Shilton and Dino Zoff. That's not company reserved for feel-good underdog stories. That's company reserved for legends of the position. Now compare that journey to the man standing at the other end of the pitch that Friday night. Messi didn't need an origin story anymore. His was written years ago, in trophies and records that will probably never be broken. Heading into the Cape Verde match, he'd already been rewriting his own history all tournament long. Messi opened with a hat trick against Algeria, added a brace to seize the record against Austria, then came off the bench to curl in a free kick against Jordan, becoming the first man ever to score in 7 consecutive World Cup matches. A 39-year-old still doing that in a World Cup is its own kind of impossible story. It's just a different impossible story than the one belonging to the man he faced in Miami. That's what made this matchup on paper feel so lopsided before kickoff. One writer summed up the mismatch about as bluntly as you can. It was billed as the unlikeliest matchup of the round of 32. the greatest goal scorer the tournament has ever produced against a goalkeeper who was a second division unknown 3 weeks earlier. A nation of 46 million against an archipelago of 500,000. Goliath arriving with the best player in history and no discernible weakness. David with Granny in goal and absolutely nothing to lose. Nobody expected David to make Goliath sweat for 2.5 hours. But that's exactly what happened, and it's why the argument over that Man of the Match trophy got so loud in the first place. To really understand why so many people think the trophy went to the wrong man, you have to walk through exactly what Vozinha did over those 120 minutes. Because on paper it reads like a highlight reel built for one player and one player only. The match started the way most people expected. Messi got his goal in the 29th minute, the touch-and finish that extended his own World Cup scoring record. Messi struck first in the 29th minute. Argentina sent a pass toward the net, and Messi beat the defense with an incredible first step, settling the ball with a gentle touch before poking it into the upper part of the net. For about half an hour, it looked like business as usual. Then Cape Verde leveled it, and the match turned into something else entirely. That's when Vozinha started to take over. In the second half, Messi seemed on the precipice of scoring at least 2 more. If not for Vozinha, in the 63rd minute, Messi broke free on another run into the box. One-on-one with a defender on his hip, and Vozinha crept toward him rather than waiting on his back foot, stuffing the shot. 10 minutes after that, Messi went to his signature weapon, the free kick that's beaten some of the best goalkeepers alive. There were no fewer than 4 elite saves by Vozinha against Messi alone in the final 60 minutes. The details on that particular save are almost comedic given who was standing over the ball. That included a 73rd minute save when Messi seemed to catch everyone at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami napping on a free kick. Except for Vozinha, the 8-time Ballon d'Or winner could not have kicked it better. But Vozinha still got a hand on it. One breakdown of the match described that free kick as a moment that could have ended Cape Verde's run right there if Vozinha hadn't read it perfectly. A free kick from Messi in the 73rd seemed destined to curl into the right side of the net. Vozinha got just enough of an outstretched gloved hand on that one to knock it away, to preserve what was then a 1-1 score. Regulation time wasn't done throwing haymakers either. As Argentina pushed for a winner deep into stoppage time, Messi got one more free kick from almost the same spot, and once again the man in green stood in the way. The 40-year-old goalkeeper saved another big chance from Messi in the 72nd minute, from a free kick just outside of the penalty box. And with Argentina desperate for a go-ahead goal in the 5th minute of stoppage time, another free kick set Messi up for a cinematic finish. But Vozinha was there to block his shot again and send Cape Verde to extra time. Think about what that means. Vozinha didn't just make a couple of nice stops in an already decided game. He personally kept his team alive, denying Messi in stoppage time, and forcing extra time against the defending world champion. That's not a footnote performance. That's the difference between elimination and survival. Extra time brought no relief for Cape Verde's back line, but Vozinha kept showing up. Messi went low with a free kick in stoppage time. Vozinha managed to see the ball through a wall of bodies, and dropped to his knees to make a save. Late in the first 15-minute extra time period, Messi collected a deflected ball at the top of the penalty area and fired, but Vozinha dove to his left, punching that one aside as well. By the time the whistle finally blew, the numbers on Vozinha's night were staggering. For a goalkeeper on the losing side of a scoreline, Vozinha would get another chance to play hero soon after the equalizer, making his 8th save on a Messi shot from the top of the box. And the way the eventual winner arrived only made his night more painful. The ball that beat him wasn't even a clean strike. It made Argentina's winner even more heartbreaking, as it bounced in off Vozinha's own teammate. Zoom out across the whole tournament, and the case for Vozinha gets even stronger. This wasn't a one-match fluke. It was the continuation of a run that had already made him the busiest, most productive goalkeeper at the entire World Cup. Vozinha recorded 8 saves against Argentina in the 90 minutes of regulation time, 7 saves against Spain in the group stage, and left the tournament with 25 saves total, the tournament high. A separate count that includes shots faced tells the same story from a different angle. Over the course of the tournament, Vozinha had 18 saves against 23 shots, giving him a 782 save percentage, the 3rd most of any goalkeeper in the tournament at the time of Cape Verde's elimination. And there's a clean sheet stat that puts him in genuinely historic territory, not just feel-good underdog territory. In his 7-save performance against Spain, Vozinha became the oldest goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet in his World Cup debut, and just the 2nd goalkeeper aged 40 or older to make at least 7 saves in a World Cup match since 1966. One columnist watching the Argentina match live called it exactly what it looked like on the pitch: a personal duel buried inside a team result. Vozinha against Messi was cinema of the highest order, and it was the goalkeeper who overcame the battle, making one remarkable save after another. The saying always goes that Messi's free kicks, you somewhat know where they're going, but you can never stop them, and one man stopped Messi's shots again and again. The same piece didn't shy away from crediting Vozinha with something bigger than his own stat line. With 8 saves on 10 shots, Vozinha wasn't perfect, but he was incredible. And the way he faced down Messi and a team of superstars surely lifted and inspired his own squad to keep digging. That's the case laid out shot by shot, save by save. A 40-year-old second division goalkeeper stood in front of the greatest World Cup goalscorer in history 4 separate times in the biggest moments of the match, and won 3 of those 4 battles outright. The 4th one's the goal that actually beat him, didn't even come off a clean shot. It's not hard to see why so many people watching that night walked away thinking the individual award should have followed the goalkeeper home instead of the man who scored the opener. So here's where the debate actually lives, not in whether Vozinha had a great night, because pretty much everyone agrees he did, but in whether great night by the losing goalkeeper beats opening goal and the assist on the winner by the greatest player alive. The official call, once it came through, went to Messi. Following a grueling 120-minute battle against Cape Verde, Argentina's Lionel Messi was awarded the man of the match, per Fabrizio Romano. On the stat sheet, that's not a baseless pick. He did score the opening goal and assisted on Christian Romero's 111th minute game winner. Direct involvement in 2 of Argentina's 3 goals in extra time, against a team that had already frustrated him for over an hour. That's a real case, not a token gesture toward a legend's reputation. But the counter-argument came in fast, and it came from everywhere. Some fans pointed to Cape Verde's goalkeeper directly. Others pointed out that even inside Argentina's own lineup, there was a case for someone other than Messi. For me, Lisandro Martinez is MOTM, another fan stated, pointing out that as far as Martinez is considered, he assisted Messi's first goal and scored a 92nd minute screamer for Argentina. That's worth sitting with for a second. Even among people who weren't picking Vozinha, Messi wasn't the unanimous second choice either. The award had at least 3 legitimate candidates, and Messi's own teammate was cutting into his case as much as the opposing goalkeeper was. Still, plenty of the same fans throwing support behind Martinez or Vozinha weren't willing to call Messi's selection unfair exactly. It's more that people felt spoiled for choice, and Messi's name being the biggest one on the field tipped the vote in a tight 3-way race. One outlet summarized the mood plainly: at the end of the day, Messi was, by no means, an undeserving player to take home the MOTM award. That's the balance a lot of neutral observers landed on. Not that Messi stole something, but that Vozinha's case was strong enough that reasonable people could and did disagree, loudly, in real time all over social media. And it wasn't just fans keeping the debate alive. Coverage of the match kept circling back to just how close the goalkeeper had come to flipping the entire outcome. A worse goalkeeper for Cape Verde, and it's a blowout. Vozinha helped turn the 3-2 Argentina win in extra time into one of the tournament's classics. That's not a small credit to hand a losing goalkeeper. That's saying in plain terms that without him, there's no discussion, no drama, no debate over any trophy at all. Just a routine result for the reigning champions. Vozinha's own coach made a version of the same point after the match, framing the entire night as bigger than any individual accolade. Cape Verde coach Bubista said, "Argentina is a world champion, and they have one of the best players in the world. So that in itself speaks of the challenge it was for our team to overcome them. Above that, there's the fact that we're here for the first time. We want to evolve so that we can have more opportunities to face the so-called big dogs of the tournament." There's pride in that answer, not resentment. But it's also the kind of quote that reframes the whole match, not as a story about Messi extending his own legend, but as a story about a team led by a goalkeeper that had no business being that close to a genuine upset. Even reporting on the tournament's bigger stories kept slotting Vozinha into the best story of the World Cup conversation, independent of the actual scoreline. Panels discussing tournament superlatives were putting his name next to Messi's hat trick, and Erling Haaland's debut as one of the defining threads of the whole event, long before the Argentina match even kicked off. That's a goalkeeper from a second-tier club in Portugal being talked about in the same breath as the sport's biggest names. Not because of one lucky night, but because of a pattern that had been building for 3 straight matches by the time Argentina showed up. What makes the argument stick more than any single quote or stat is the shape of the match itself. Messi's goal came in the 29th minute, and Argentina didn't find the net again until deep into stoppage time. Nearly the entire second half was, functionally, Vozinha against the rest of Argentina's attack. 4 saves against the same player, across open play and multiple free kicks in that stretch, is the kind of shot-stopping most goalkeepers don't produce across an entire tournament, let alone in one half of one match. It's why the trophy debate never really resolved itself into a consensus. It just quieted down as everyone moved on to the next round. Cape Verde's run ended that night, but almost nobody who watched it walked away thinking of it as a loss. Cape Verde didn't win a match at the World Cup, and somehow that didn't seem to matter. That's an unusual thing to be able to say about a team that's now eliminated, but it's the truest way to describe what that tournament run turned into. There's a financial piece to this story too, one that matters a lot more to a country of 500,000 people than it would to Argentina. Cape Verde, the smallest nation in terms of land area to make the World Cup, with a population about 1% the size of Argentina's, will get $11 million from FIFA for making it this far in the tournament. For an island nation that had never before qualified for this stage, that's not pocket change. That's infrastructure, development, and a future generation of players growing up believing this level is actually reachable. Vozinha's own personal transformation over the course of the tournament is almost as remarkable as anything that happened on the pitch. Vozinha has seen his social media following grow in a major way since the start of the World Cup. His followers on Instagram went from 50,000 to over 5 million in the hours after his clean sheet against Spain, and his following has more than tripled that number since, sitting at nearly 19 million following the loss against Argentina. A goalkeeper nobody outside Cape Verde could name a month earlier now has a following that dwarfs plenty of the sport's household names. The tournament writers covering Cape Verde's exit didn't treat it like a sad ending either. One piece described the feeling around the team in almost celebratory terms, even in defeat. "We say goodbye, Blue Sharks, you leave as heroes. And the biggest, most inspiring story of the tournament. What you gave to this World Cup, including the epic standoff that ultimately ended your magical run, will forever be remembered. In a match that included Lionel Messi, you leave as the eternal stars whose light will never fade in the memories of World Cup history." That's the kind of send-off usually reserved for champions, not a team that lost in the round of 32. But that's what Vozinha's performance and the team's fight around him earned them. As for Messi, his own path kept moving forward. The record streak intact, the trophy in hand, on to the next round. After the victory, Argentina will face Mohamed Salah and Egypt in the round of 16. Some who covered the match wondered if this near upset might have been exactly the wake-up call the defending champions needed heading into the tougher rounds still ahead. Perhaps this was the game that woke La Albiceleste up and finally gave them the challenge they needed. But even Argentina's own coverage of the win couldn't resist pointing out who the story actually belonged to. Argentina, in the end, came through thanks to its steel-minded belief. But make no mistake about this, the night belonged to Cape Verde. Not even Lionel Messi can deny that statement. That's about as clean a summary as you're going to get of where this whole debate landed. Messi has the trophy in his cabinet and the record books rewritten in his favor once again. But the goalkeeper who stood across from him for 2.5 hours, denying him 4 separate times, dragging a nation of 500,000 people through the most improbable run in the tournament's history. He's the one people are still talking about days later, arguing should have had his hand on that piece of hardware instead. Vozinha never demanded the trophy, he didn't need to. His performance did the arguing for him, and an entire stadium, an entire island, and a sizable chunk of the internet picked up where he left off. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content. Sources: NBC News Argentina, Messi pushed to the brink by Cape Verde, and its 40-year-old goalkeeper. Fox Sports: Messi vs Vozinha, best moments from the legendary battle. MLS Soccer: Argentina survive Cape Verde scare in heart-pounding World Cup classic. Fox Sports: Meet Vozinha, the Cape Verde goalkeeper who was the hero in near Argentina upset. Fox Sports: Through brilliance and bravery, Cape Verde epitomized the beauty of the World Cup. MLS Soccer: Cape Verde capture hearts of millions during incredible World Cup run. Fox Sports: Argentina Cape Verde's World Cup match is the best TV show of the summer. Yahoo Sports: World Cup 2026. Cape Verde's Vozinha frustrates Lionel Messi in heroic loss to Argentina. Yahoo Sports: World Cup fans disappointed after Lionel Messi is awarded Man of the Match versus Cape Verde. Yardbarker: World Cup fans disappointed after Lionel Messi is awarded Man of the Match versus Cape Verde. HITC World Cup fans disappointed after Lionel Messi is awarded Man of the Match versus Cape Verde. Ex-football tweet, official, Messi wins Man of the Match but trophy belongs to Vozinha. Click on Detroit Magical World Cup ride of Vozinha and Cape Verde ends after pushing Messi and Argentina to the brink. Local 10 Magical World Cup ride of Vozinha and Cape Verde ends after pushing Messi and Argentina to the brink. Prothemalo, will Vozinha's dream of stopping Messi's penalty come true tonight? https://n.prothemalo.com/amp/story/sports/football/rdi0848 haz